I switched to the Infinix Hot 70 Pro, and there is a lot that I want to get off of my chest. Alright, so before we get into the Hot 70 Pro, I want you guys to truly understand the perspective of someone who has reached every single level of smartphone that there is to offer. Top tier. Now, the reason that I love top tier flagships is because they give you the best that a company has to offer all across the board, from design to cameras to performance, all of it. And they're also usually the pioneers, from new features to new ideas to even new designs. Innovation almost always shows up on the flagship first and then trickles down from there. But then you've got something else that I love, which is starter flagships. Think of phones like the iPhone 17, the Galaxy S26, and even the Pixel 10. And these phones are interesting in their own right because they give you a lot of that same top tier experience and a lot of those same features without absolutely destroying your wallet. And if you're someone with a budget who still wants to feel like you're getting that real experience, then that is the exact tier that you're looking at. And then arguably my favorite is budget phones. And honestly, I think budget phones are cool in a completely different way. Because to me, budget phones are the closest thing that we have to a modern time machine in the smartphone market. Like, think about it. Phones like the iPhone SE, the Galaxy A series, and the Infinix Hot series. These phones aren't cheap because companies are being very generous. They're cheap because these companies are reusing old hardware, old chips, and old features just to get the price down low enough for me and you to actually be able to afford it. And what that means is when you buy a budget phone, you're getting a taste of the past with updated software support. And that's why I have this very strong connection to a phone like the Infinix Hot 70 Pro, because there were so many things about this phone that reminded me of the past, not just in the hardware, but in the overall experience. I love that just like back in the day, the fingerprint sensor was built right into the home button. I love that the cheaper materials actually made this phone incredibly comfortable and light in the hand. And honestly, I just love the vibe since this phone gave me that classic Android feel with a heavy splash of nostalgia. You know, back when I was just the average consumer. Back before I was thinking about sensor sizes and refresh rates and vapor chambers and yada yada yada. Back when a phone just worked. And that was enough. But here's the thing about nostalgia. While it is great a lot of the time, we remember things as better than they actually were. Like, have you ever rewatched a movie that you loved as a kid, decided to turn it back on to relive the glory days, and as you're watching it as an adult, you go, huh? This isn't quite as good as I remembered. Yeah, that's also kind of the vibe that I got with the Hot 70 Pro many times. And I do know that this is a budget phone. I'm not the type of guy that buys a bag from Walmart and expects it to be Louis Vuitton quality, but I'm also not going to pretend that budget doesn't come with downsides, and I'm going to get into exactly where those downsides do show up. But despite all of that, I'm genuinely excited to share my experience with the Hot 70 Pro, and I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Your viewership is always appreciated, and if you guys do enjoy this video, a like and a hype will really help out the channel. Now, before I get into the many different aspects of this phone, are you struggling to keep up with back-to-back meetings? Well, it's time to reset your routine. I've been testing a new Comulytic Note Pro, and it's a total game changer for staying organized. This device is designed for professionals on the go. It's ultra thin, portable, and packs a massive 45-hour continuous recording time, making it perfect for heavy meeting days. And what sets it apart is the one-click recording that automatically switches between modes. For in-person or online meetings, just place it on a table. For phone calls, it magnetically attaches to the back of your phone, and you can just hold your phone and speak naturally. No speakerphone needed. And as someone who does most of my note-taking from the Voice Memos app on my phone, this was so much better because it allowed me to take notes in a more discreet way. There was no screen out that would draw attention. I didn't have to hurry up and open any apps, and I could just hit the button and the job took care of itself. It also has unlimited transcription, so you aren't limited to how much you can capture, and it will give you a summary to wrap everything up, basically meaning that it can break down hours of voice memos into a couple of paragraphs to wrap everything up nicely. And as you guys can see right here from my notes, it includes things like my needs, the profile of my client, potential client notes, and even an action list. Usage is very simple. Just tap once to start recording, then upload it to the paired app. It instantly generates AI-powered transcripts, summaries, and more. And if you're client-facing, the built-in client insights and management features are essential for staying on top of your work. And also, there's a summer sale from July 21st to August 3rd, and you can get an exclusive extra discount with my code down below. So if you guys are interested, click the link in the description and comment section of today's video, and you'll be covered with free 30-day returns, a 12-month warranty, and lifetime customer support. I still want to share the problems that I've encountered because you guys deserve to know what you're getting into before you actually spend your money. So let's start with the build. Now, I mentioned earlier that the lightness of this phone is genuinely nice. It's comfortable, it's easy to hold, and it doesn't weigh you down. But that lightness does come from budget plastic, and plastic, especially at this price point, is just not built to take a hit the way glass and metal are on flagships. I dropped my phone twice over the past couple of weeks, and as you can see right here, there are some genuinely huge dents in the frame. They look very ugly and will be on this phone forever until I get it replaced. Then there's gaming, and honestly, this was one of the more disappointing parts of my time with this phone. Gameplay itself felt very choppy, and I don't mean just during heavy moments. I mean it felt choppy even when navigating the menus inside of games. Now, software was another area where I hit some old school limitations. Multitasking wasn't consistent. As you can see right here, not every app is able to do multitasking, which is very limiting. And again, it gave me some of that very old school Android vibes in a very bad way. And even when it came to camera, if you get perfect lighting, the quality is fine, but step outside of that ideal scenario and the quality drops off very fast. Whether it be indoors, low light, mixed lighting, anything less than perfect, the quality can get pretty rough very quickly. And trust me guys, I do know that this is a budget phone, but it just felt very low quality overall. The display had this very old school glare to it that I genuinely wasn't expecting in 2026. The bezels are big, and despite supporting up to 144 Hz, the actual quality of the panel made it feel more like 90 Hz in daily use. And I say, just like most things when it comes to this phone, it's there on paper, but the experience doesn't deliver on it due to the limitations of the material. But despite all of these problems, there was still a little bit of charm on this phone, and by the end, I want you guys to decide if I'm blindsided by nostalgia or if the Hot 70 Pro can compete with other phones in its price range. Now, when it came to specs, the Hot 70 Pro can be very confusing at times because it has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery with 45 watt fast charging, a 144 Hz refresh rate, a 50 megapixel camera, and has the latest version of Android. But it's also the same phone that has an LCD 720p display, an older MediaTek Dimensity 7100 processing chip, and 8 gigabytes of RAM. And even when it came to build, there are some aspects that has great durability with IP68 dust and water resistance, with one of the best in-hand feelings that Infinix has to offer in terms of size and premium feel. But the material does get easily flustered if you drop your phone even once. So just like most newer budget phones, it blends old and new, but we'll see which aspect took over the experience overall. Now, when it came to the display, this is an LTPS LCD panel, not AMOLED, which was something that I had to get adjusted to coming from my S26 Ultra and 17 Pro Max. The refresh rate is doing the best that it can with the lower quality screen, but let's be honest, 90 Hz feels like 60, 120 feels like 90, and the very limited 144 feels like 120. And even when it came to brightness, when indoors, everything looks good, but when you go outside, it does get pretty hard to see. Visual experience was pretty good. Got some pretty good visuals when it came to color. But the only problem that I did need to get adjusted to was the 720p display that wasn't as sharp. And as far as security, everything was really good. The facial recognition, very accurate and gave me very little problems. And the final thing that I really enjoyed was the size. This was the easiest transition for me as far as feel in hand and just added to the overall visual experience. Now, when it came to performance, the chip was very disappointing to say the least. Again, gaming was very subpar in terms of fluidity, smoothness, and just overall experience. Like, there isn't one good thing that I have to say, which is why I want to keep this section to a minimal. But as you can tell right here, very choppy, won't run smooth at all. And during my weeks of using this phone, I decided not to game at all. But if you are a casual user, day-to-day tasks like texting, scrolling, taking pics, and opening and closing apps, the chip will get the job done. Now, the best part about the Hot 70 Pro is that it nails the most important thing thing that you need in a phone, which is the battery. Now, during my use, I'm consistently getting through a full day, sometimes with 20 to 25% left by the time I went to bed. Charging is rated at 45 watts, and in my own tests, it got to about 50% in roughly 25 minutes. And this was the one thing that I would say was even better when coming from a top tier iPhone or Pixel. And even when it came to signature features, this is where this phone tried to earn its fun reputation. There's a light up matrix on the back that lights up for calls and notifications even when face down. Plus there's also a dedicated button on the side. Short press scans your screen and tries to build a calendar event or contact card out of it. Long press pulls up an AI assistant that can switch between many different models. And genuinely, out of everything, this button ended up being the most surprising part of the phone for me. Update wise, Infinix is promising 3 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security patches, which is genuinely strong for this price. The AI tools built into the software were a bit of a mixed bag though. I'm more of a Gemini fan compared to Folex, but I'm glad that they gave me the option to switch. I honestly always thought Folex does work much slower. It isn't as accurate and it does need some things that need to be ironed out. But other than that, the software was pretty great. Plenty of customization all across the board with the Infinix Flare, and I was able to make the phone feel like mine despite many of its limitations. So yeah, at the end of the day, where does that leave the Hot 70 Pro? This phone really did feel like a time machine. But like I said, nostalgia does have a way of lying to you. And living with the Hot 70 Pro for a few weeks reminded me exactly why the smartphone industry moved past some of this stuff in the first place. Comparing this to a top tier phone is like walking into Walmart expecting Louis Vuitton. That's not fair, and I'm not going to pretend that it is, but at the end of the day, you guys deserve to know exactly what you're getting into, dents and all, before you spend your money. That's my job, to help you guys make the best purchase. And at the end of the day, I believe that this is a phone that I wouldn't tell somebody to go out and buy. I feel like you could easily go on a third-party market and get a cheaper, older Google Pixel or Galaxy for around the same price with a much better and more premium experience. And I'm very upset because I really wanted to love this phone, but at the end of the day, nostalgia can also be blinding. Peace.